So our next speaker is someone I know you've always, all afternoon you've been waiting to hear from them, and that's me. So thank you. If you don't know me, I'm Pete Maddock. I run Nicole's dispute resolution team at the office of the Queensland Small Business Commissioner's Office. And I'm here to talk to you today about some planning pain points that we've looked into, what small businesses are telling us, and how you as councils can help out in this situation. I wanted to start by painting a bit of a picture. So around about 2 years ago, we started out on a bit of a project to really improve our resources for small businesses. And somebody mentioned it earlier, and actually there's a really good example of it as a small business friendly council of somebody doing this. And Christy mentioned before the doing business with Gladstone Regional Council, and she mentioned that what the idea was take the information that people were ringing up their customer service centre about and then making that available. That's exactly what we did. Started doing about 2 years ago, and since then we've published around about 180 different resources to help small businesses who are in leasing disputes, but all sorts of different disputes as well. And we did that because actually one of the mentors from the Mentoring for Growth program approached me, and I also was down at a complaints professionals symposium, and it became apparent that the way that people were going to find information was going to change, and AI was actually going to influence the searches that they did and the results that they got back. And I'm sure you've noted it yourself. You do a Google search now and there's a little box underneath with the AI overview. And somebody said to me, that is going to become one of the most important things that people look at. And they actually probably won't even click on your website in the future. What they'll do is take that information that AI stole from your website and they'll just digest that. And so we started on a real mission to think of the way we hold our information a little bit differently. And so we have a massive knowledge base. It's about 114 pages that my staff, I've got 5 staff, and we refer to it, and it has all sorts of information about using leverage in negotiations or pieces of legislation, under the different acts, what it means, what they can and can't do, all that kind of stuff. But the problem is, to get that information, you have to ring us and talk to us. And that's not really the smartest way to do that. So what we did, we started publishing that stuff and putting it out there. And we did that rapidly in a way that then made it more accessible for people. And something really strange happened. We were receiving around 35% of our inquiries were out of scope, so they weren't leasing dispute scopes, which is what our bread and butter is. Since we have started doing that and publishing that information, that's actually dropped to around about 20% of out of scope, and it's falling pretty much every month. Yeah? What that means is that when I look at the data on our disputes, it's a lot richer now. It's a lot more focused on what our role is, which is to tackle those leasing disputes. And so what I was able to do with the help of some AI, a little bit like Robbie's when he was talking about using AI to go through that data, we've got a very similar tool that we can use to look at our data, and I can ask it questions like, what are the pain points that keep coming up for small businesses that intersect with councils, for instance? And when I did that, it pointed out that we had around about 190 cases where planning permissions, the obligations needed to operate that particular business were part of the dispute. And when we dived into that a little bit more, it actually showed us that it wasn't that those businesses didn't want to comply, but actually they didn't really realise it actually applied to them. They didn't think of themselves as developers. You got a DA, a development application. Well, I'm not a developer. I just lease the the space and do a day spa or a doggy daycare or whatever it might be. So this stuff doesn't apply to me, and I don't even think of looking for that, or it doesn't show up when, you know, I'm working out what it is I need to do to set up my business. And I thought, oh, surely that can't be right. You know, the councils will have things available that people who are leasing a space can go and find and go, okay, what are my requirements? Or can I talk to council? What can I do? I've got a challenge for you. You can do it now, or you can do it, you know, anytime this afternoon. Go onto your own council's website and look up the word lease. What comes up? I did it for most of your councils. What comes up is the spaces that are available for lease from council. All right, so what lease you can get through council. Does it have any information on there that leasing a space may actually trigger a DA, or that you need to get some permission from council? I think very few of you will find that that information comes up. Yeah? If it does come up, it's going to be buried a fair way down. And so what we realised was that actually we could do something about this. This is a real gap that we might be able to work with our councils on. And a couple of them put their hand up and said, yeah, absolutely. Sunshine Coast Council and Wide Bay Regional Council, Fraser Coast Regional Council, sorry, I had a mind blank. Fraser Coast Regional Council said, yeah, let's have a look at this. So before we met with them, what we did, we just wanted to check things. So we went to the local government department, and they confirmed that, yes, there is also some data that they have that shows there's common types of businesses that this happens to. And often there's something that triggers it. And this matched what the data was telling us as well. We were getting tenants come to us because somebody in the neighbourhood, it might be a neighbouring business or a neighbouring resident, and it might be a competitor business, has gone to council and made a complaint because that business didn't get the right approvals or isn't operating in the right permitted use for that premises. And you'd think, well, okay, sure, the competing businesses, they're just trying to, get a competitive advantage. They, want to close down their competitor. Actually, if you think about it, what they want is a really fair playing field. If they have to go through those processes and follow the right processes, then why does this business get away with not doing that? Yeah? And so there were common ones. I put them up there. Gyms. Parking in gyms, often complaint triggers. Microbreweries who then want to add extra things onto just not being a brewery, but what goes well with beer or vodka or gin? Food. So let's just add food in. And, oh, hold on, does that actually mean we need to change anything with council? Never occurred to them, yeah? Doggy daycare or grooming, they were also coming up. Day spas, there was one council who we had a complaint with, a tenant in that council who had set up a day spa in an industrial shed next to 8 other industrial sheds, and was really annoyed that the mechanic who'd been there for 15 years was making too much noise for their day spa. And then injectable studios is another one with sort of complex requirements. And it's interesting because when you looked at those and then you looked at, well, what information might there be for that audience to say, hey, there are some things that council, you need to approach council about. There wasn't a lot for them to go to. And we also discovered that there are some other things that happen in this space which are unavoidable. I think on the panel, somebody was talking about, oh yes, that's right, Jason was talking about the whistle happy ref. But one of the things that we found was that councils don't have any discretion in this space. If you get a complaint, what have you got to do? You have to investigate it as a council. There's no way to ignore it. You must investigate every complaint. If you find non-compliance, what must you do? you've got to issue the notices. You've got to go through the process. There's no way of just going, we can turn a blind eye to that. It's the planning scheme. It's all of those things that make it a requirement that councils go through those processes. What people didn't understand and where they were coming to us was they were trying to raise a dispute with the council to say, it's the council's issue that I'm not approved. Well, actually, when we talked to those businesses, we asked them, well, how did you discover or where along the track did you find that you were not compliant? It was because the council contacted me. But I had talked to the landlord or I had talked to the property agent. We have found this over and over and over again. We talked to them and we asked them, would it be okay to run our business here? And they said to us, it should be okay. Yeah, you just check with council, it should be fine. Very reassuring kind of statement, but actually completely devoid of any liability. And what they're actually doing is pointing back to the lease that these tenants have signed, which says it's completely your responsibility to get all of the permissions you need. Yeah, and they don't want to tell them that. They want to sign them up to a lease. Yeah? And so they get themselves in this situation, and we found that there wasn't actually a resource out there, one resource that would tell them where they could go, what they could do, what rules were there around this. And so we've actually created a resource that addresses that, and it's one of our articles, one of the 180 resources that we've put out. That article in particular focuses on when you don't have the right planning approvals. Hopefully you've gone and got them and you've talked to the council beforehand, but if you haven't, what do you do then? And it differentiates the dispute that they're having, because often the dispute is about, well, my lease says, I've signed a lease saying that I can do this, but then it was on me to get the obligations filled and I haven't done that. And it might be that they were misled by the landlord or the property agent. That is something that we could deal with, absolutely. But we needed to tell them that if you had run afoul of the planning permissions, then actually council has to investigate if they get a complaint, and they don't have any discretion. Those are the facts. And so if you realise that and then you work as best as you can to try to get approvals from council, which is not a guarantee, but that's one of your pathways, then you can do that. And how you could do that, and working with the council and understanding that you've missed that opportunity in the first place, but you're trying to catch it up now, and that is going to cost you time and money. It's not an immediate fix. They can't give you a 3-day turnaround on the approvals that you need. It's going to take reports, specialist reports and investigations and things to become compliant in what you're doing. So we've published that resource, and then Tyler's here from Sunshine Coast Council. We're working really closely with the Sunshine Coast Council now to look at the resources that are available for that audience, the tenant audience who's leasing in your local council area. How can we improve that? And what could we do to link our resource into your site, and then vice versa? Yep, your site into our source. Now, why would we do that? One of the 3 pillars of getting the best AI research results for our information is to actually link it to trusted sources. And .gov.au is one of the most trusted sources on the internet. And you are all .gov.au owners. All your councils have that, and we have that. So if we interlink our sites and point to each other, you will find that we rise to the top of the AI searches, and we're in the Google overview piece that's underneath the Google search. That gives everybody in your regions a better chance to connect with you and turn a complaint into how do I do this? Guide me through. All the concierge services that you want them to take advantage of, they'll find in the first place. So that's something that we've worked on. We're working also with Jared as well from Fraser Coast to see what we can do there as well. But my invitation to you is if you're interested in collaborating like that and improving this for that audience, I really want to talk to you. So thank you very much for your time. And yeah. The slides will go out, and that's the link to it. It's called Before You Sign, Understanding Council Planning Rules for Your Business Lease. Yeah. Yes, Holly. Yeah, absolutely. They do in some circumstances, and what they really need is some good legal advice. And what we can help them with in those instances is, if they can't afford it, like if they haven't been able to open and they're not earning any money, then they're probably going to be eligible for something like the Bond University Law Clinic. It's one of the universities runs this clinic. They have their own law firm, and it only provides pro bono services for small businesses. No charged clients at all, only pro bono. And they give them 30 minutes of free legal advice, and the number one referrer to the Bond University Law Clinic is the Queensland Small Business Commissioner's Office. And they love us because we arm them with what questions to ask, what do you need to consider, what are the things that you need to tell them in that 30 minutes? Like, what's happened, what have you signed, what was your response, and what is it your goal? What is it you want to achieve? So we help them through that process to get the most out of that 30 minutes. And they will probably tell them that under the Retail Shop Leases Act, Section 44AA, there's some things about making false or misleading statements. So if it's a retail shop, there might be a recourse through there. Pretty high bar to prove, but it's possible. And low cost because it's through QCAT. And obviously first through our dispute resolution services and then onto QCAT. And then the other alternative is court, to saying misleading and false statements through court. But court is $10,000 into a trust account of a lawyer. So you would want to do the math and make sure that it's worth that. Is there another way? Absolutely. You can try to come through our office and we try to mediate that as a dispute. And I think probably most of you know, 7 out of 10 of those mediations we resolve. About 40% of them we resolve before they even get to mediation. Yeah. Last financial year, our calculations are that by diverting people away from court or tribunal, about 29,000 weeks in court or tribunal we stopped by helping people when they come to us first. About $27.4 million in fees and lawyers' fees and things like that saved through our service. So yeah, it's a really good question. Holly? Any other questions? Yes, Tim.
Hey, is it harder for a business to get resolution if a complaint has already been made?
Yes. Simple. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
No worries. Yeah.
So the advice then, as James, would be anybody who's going in, check your leases, check all your stuff beforehand.
If you found a lease that said that it was the landlord's responsibility to have the right planning, that is like a hen's tooth. It would. I haven't come across it yet. I've probably seen 25,000 leases so far in 6 years, and I haven't seen one of those yet. So no. Yeah. Good. All right. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble for. Yeah, go. Very interesting. Yeah. So essentially you have no discretion. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Now, our next speaker, let's see if I can... Our next speaker, many of you would know as the man with the golden handshake. If you're at the workshop, you probably understand that. He doesn't need any introduction. I'll let Jared take over. There we go. Thanks, Jared.
Thanks, Peter, and good afternoon, everybody. We're on the home stretch, so I won't keep you too long. I do want to talk about some good work our economic development team did in the Fraser Coast for a flood event last year for Harvey Bay. Hopefully you get a bit of ideas of what you may already be doing that, but just I'll take you through what that looks like. Before I move through, I'm just going to show a quick video to just provide a bit of context to what I'm going to discuss. Fingers crossed this works.
Well, Alfred's aftershocks have been far-reaching, shaking up communities as far north as the Fraser Coast. Residents there waking up to extraordinary flash flooding, swamping cars and homes and threatening lives.
A torrential onslaught in the heart of Harvey Bay. This is Torquay Road, usually a busy main street, now submerged. All this courtesy of Alfred's wicked web of wild weather.
Harvey Bay is copping up flogging right now.
All the
One of
warnings
our locals.
yesterday in terms of the cyclone watch area and the severe warning area did not include Harvey Bay.
Yet the Fraser Coast, almost 300 kilometres north of Brisbane, copping a 230mm drenching in just 3 hours. Relentless sheeting rain, inundating garages and homes. Beachfront properties along the Urangan Esplanade waking up to a different kind of waterfront view. Extraordinary flash flooding, swamping cars left bobbing across town. Some drivers risking it all.
Oh, dude! Oh, I'm great!
A reckless display of bravado or simply just stupidity. Watch as this ute takes on Mother Nature with water up to the windows. A terrifying reminder, never underestimate the wrath of an ex-tropical cyclone.
We've had 7 rescues from vehicles and we've had 9 dwellings that have had to be evacuated.
Even the police station was ordered out as authorities declared an emergency situation.
We've seen the police attend to 35 jobs, including 14 for people that were in danger, in risk of losing their life.
Tonight, Harvey Bay remains in the severe weather warning area.
Due to that heavy, intense rainfall that we're experiencing, and we're asking people to take shelter now.
In some areas, those floodwaters have receded, but the Fraser Coast community remains on edge.
We're looking at the forecast for the rest of the day and it is very, very concerning.
We'll certainly be there to see things through for the Harvey Bay community.
Emily Prane, 9 News.
Okay, I'm sure many of you guys have had similar experiences, especially up here in the north, so I'm sure you understand that. But so as you can see, this event had a devastating impact on our Fraser Coast community, including many businesses. Harvey Bay was inundated with no prior weather warnings, with some homes and businesses receiving up to 600 millimetres of rain on the day, and over 100 businesses were significantly affected. What made matters worse was no prior weather warnings, meaning preparedness for this event was not existent from council or community. Harvey Bay is not usually prone to floods, but businesses had water coming through their doors and roofs literally. What we found out later was that many businesses were not covered by insurance or were underinsured for this type of weather event, causing more angst and concern in our community. A key part of our response planning to support the businesses was the opening of a business recovery hub. Through strong collaboration with our government agency colleagues, the hub was opened, allowing business owners to speak face-to-face with support organisations. This decision to open a specific recovery hub separate to that of the community hub that had already opened up for the floods was a game changer. Through learnings from our previous disasters in Maryborough a couple of years before, the need to host a separate hub for businesses was identified in our disaster recovery plan, along with the need for collaboration from government support agencies to provide the service and support. Our partners at the hub included QRider, the Queensland Rural Industry Development Authority, whom provided loans and later on the grants available to businesses. The Small Business Financial Counselling Service, whom offered vital financial and emotional support, were an amazing source of strength for many of the business operators. Obviously, a lot of the people coming in were quite emotional, very upset, very worried, and those guys were just incredible. As well as the State Government Department of Customer Service, concierge team, Oz Industry staff and our own economic development team. Our operational approach included rostering to ensure there'd be no long waits. Businesses could come in very quickly, get to speak to somebody, sit down, have a cup of tea and discuss the damages with empathetic support. Businesses would then be provided information on support available at that time and a promise of further information to come. Due to the length of time, obviously with QRider and the government making decisions around loans and grants, it did take some time for that to go through. I think it was 2.5 weeks, I think, for the grants to actually be approved. Having a one-stop shop for all business and recovery support made it easier and far less time consuming for the business owners, which was really appreciated. Also want to mention the outreach and engagement undertaken to support the hub. When numbers through the hub slowed down later in the week, it became apparent we would need to visit businesses in person. We witnessed firsthand the damage and got an understanding of what the challenges were likely to come. It also built trust with business owners, and we were able to add details to our database so we could inform them of updates or if potential grants become available. Over that 3-day period, we spoke to about 78 businesses face to face. Once the QRider business grants were announced, we put together an information session with QRider, walking businesses through the application process for grants. Obviously, there's some challenges and understanding that businesses need to understand how it all comes together. We had 40 businesses attend that in person as well. We continue post the event to visit businesses and update on further support available. And we're still dealing with those many businesses now that are still going through, I suppose, some of the challenges of the flood, which is now probably 15 months. There's some businesses that haven't come back, others have moved, others are still trying to get approvals with insurance. So there's been a lot of challenges, but I think the one thing coming out of it from our point of view was that engagement was really important to build that relationship. They trust us now, we're a source of truth for them, and they often contact us if there is concerns, especially with regards to the floods. The intel gathered from the Business Hub enabled valuable advocacy to be completed by Council to the State Recovery Coordinator and also the Insurance Council of Australia, ICA, to consider challenges with business insurance. Our council did a lot of work with the advocacy, especially around the concern and the lack of insurance policies and underestimation of the insurance for the region, especially for the businesses. Insurance Council Australia ended up coming back twice with all the insurance companies to speak with not only business owners but community around some of their insurance policies. We didn't often get the result we wanted, but certainly I think the community and both the businesses were quite appreciative of the work we did. And we did our best, and they understand that. So with 10 minutes of this with 10 minutes, this presentation is quite short, but I wanted to pass on some of the key learnings and take-homes for the Business Recovery Hub that you may want to consider. Firstly, Having a standalone business recovery hub was certainly most effective, but do this in conjunction with early outreach. That was one thing, a key learning for us, that we probably need to do more early outreach. We were limited by staff at the time, but certainly there was a lot of outreach done with the community, but the businesses were left to their own devices. So that's a learning for us, that God forbid this does happen again. We'll certainly be doing a lot of outreach straight away, similar to the community, but certainly the Business Recovery Hub will open up very shortly after as well. Continued communication throughout was essential and has built strong ongoing relationships. Due to the fact that QRider and government, that time that it takes to receive the approval for the loans and the grants is sometimes 2.5, 3 weeks. It's really important that we're able to communicate with the businesses regularly, keep them up to date. We also didn't bullshit them at the start, that we said, look, there's not a lot we can do for you. We're certainly here. We're going to support you as best we can. But we did say once we know more about the loans and the grants available, that we'd be in touch. But certainly we did that really well, I think, from our council perspective in getting the message out and keeping them up to date with ongoing information. And that continues today, that there's certainly some things that we're still passing on about the opportunities for the grants. The Business Recovery Hub is now a best practice framework. Also, council is best placed to lead the hub as we manage the flood disasters, obviously. So there was a lot of discussions with our incident control team. We were able to keep up to date with what was going on and provide valuable feedback to them. But certainly council taking the lead, the community and the business, I think, expected that. But we're very fortunate we have really good collaboration with the government departments that work within our region. And finally, advocacy is important and improved many of the improved outcomes for the businesses and the community itself. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks so much. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks so much. Really important lessons there, and perfect example of why coming along you can learn those lessons from others. So now I'd like to introduce our next presenter, which is Denise Kronberg, General Manager, Queensland Operations, Trade and Investment Queensland. And Denise is going to speak about the Exporter Academy and some other things from TRQ.
All right, I know I'm the lasty pasty. So I'm going to probably go through this quite quickly as I can, but I do have a couple of videos just to wake people up. I am Denise Kronberg. I lead Trade Investment Queensland's Queensland operation now, and that looks after basically all of our client-facing teams across Queensland. I am based in regional Queensland, so you might notice that from my accent. So essentially, I'm based in Townsville, and I spend some time in Brisbane some of the weeks, but I'm very pleased to be able to come down to Rockhampton. We drove, so we could catch up with some key stakeholders along the way as well. Where am I pointing this? Up, down? No good? Right or left? No? There we go. Yes. So Trade and Investment Queensland, if you are not aware, we are the Queensland Government's global business agency, and in a nutshell, we work with businesses to help them to export their product internationally, and we also attract foreign investment into Queensland. We help businesses to save money, time and risk in entering those new markets. So we potentially can cut down the time that it takes to export your product for the first time into a market from, let's say, 3 years back to 12 months, just working with our team. So what I wanted to quickly show you is someone who can tell you a little bit more in what they do in the day of a life of one of our advisors in one of the regions. So I'll just play that video. It's Tani, and she's based in Toowoomba.
My name's Tani Odorico, and this is a day in my life. I'm out here representing Trade and Investment Queensland for the 10 councils across the Darling Downs Southwest region, including Toowoomba. Heading out to see Jim's Jerky, such a fantastic local Queensland success story. Is chili a popular flavour?
Chili's hugely popular.
For them to engage with TIQ within the last 5 years or so and be able to have their product on the shelves in Asian markets, it's incredible.
Thank you.
Bring on Korea. The country way it's humble, it's genuine. What you see is what you get.
We're certified organic. We've got the Japanese, Korean certification, so they're the ticket to play.
With the free services that TIQ provides, it's such a brilliant way to be able to help little operations that start out of a garage up into, these enormous industries.
We have a factory in America now.
Great. What sort of trends are you seeing in America?
From a wallpaper perspective, full rooms, which is very good for us.
Exporting is hard for any business, and my role is to help simplify that process.
Gosh, you make it look so easy.
I've been doing this for a very long time, so...
There is no shortage of opportunity for export to come out of regional Queensland, and I feel that it's something which is potentially a little bit undervalued. I'm very, very passionate about regional opportunities. We're connecting Queensland to the world and the world to Queensland.
Now it's working. Great. All right. So that's just a little bit of a life and the story of our advisors. We have advisors right across Queensland. Cal Devaney is here today. She is based in Gladstone but looks after our Rockhampton and inland regions. We have 27 locations internationally in 18 international markets, and we're about to open 3 more, so one in Bangkok, Paris and Riyadh. And essentially we have 8 regional office locations and our main office in Brisbane. And certainly we work with the businesses here, we get them market ready, and then we connect them to the opportunities internationally. And it's the role of our overseas teams to connect with international buyers and make sure that they have that list ready to go when we've got the clients and the small businesses ready to go. So just a few little quick stats. In terms of the importance of export on the economy, so around 134 billion in exports in 23-24 financial year, and it represents around 1/4 of Queensland's nominal gross product. So it's pretty significant. 1 in 5 jobs are supported by export, and 1 in 8 Queensland jobs are supported by foreign direct investment. And just the regional stat, for those who enjoy a bit of regional, 41% of our exporters are regionally based businesses. So that is a significant amount of businesses that are engaged in export from regional Queensland. So generally, business that export, they're larger, more productive, more innovative, more skilled, and pay higher wages. So business like these are contributing to the growth of local communities, which is really important to us. And as an agency, although we tend to work with a lot of small to medium-sized enterprises, and we also work with a lot of larger-sized businesses, because as you will be aware, there's a few global trade disruption activities happening. We started out with tariffs April last year, and now April this year we've got the Middle East conflict. So essentially what we look at is how we can best support businesses through those periods. Obviously there's a certain amount of uncertainty. There's complex supply chains as challenges. There's input costs. We're finding it's not just about fuel, fertiliser and plastics. There's impacts across the entirety of our supply chains. And we're seeing now the sentiment from business is that it's really about survival rather than growth in terms of what they're looking at. So we really want to look at how we can best support them. And we've set up, I lead the Global Trade Disruption Response Plan. I was very thankful that when I developed that plan, our Minister, the Honourable Ros Bates, signed off on that about 1 week after we put it together, because she really understood how important this was to support businesses. And I can say that that was the only state at the time that was actually coming up with support for small businesses. So it was a great for Queensland to be able to do that. There are some opportunities that are coming out of this. Although there has been a slowing in inward bound investment globally, we as an agency are not seeing that. We see that Queensland is a safe political environment to invest in, and we have a lot of resources, and we're finding that there's this, food security is an issue, fuel security obviously is an issue, and so we're starting to see a significant amount of investment inquiries coming through to our agency. So just for you as councils, we are working with each of our council areas to try and support councils to be able to take advantage of those investment opportunities. So I'm getting around to each of our regions with our teams and talking about how we can work with them to build their capacity to be able to take advantage and to have some key investment wins for their regions. So how does Trade and Investment Queensland support businesses? It's a free service. Essentially, all of our advisors will handhold clients right through that export readiness journey. We have a number of resources that are there to support those businesses, and I will talk on the next slide around the Queensland Exporter Academy. But essentially, we have a lot of market intelligence available to us to help businesses to make the right decision around what they're doing. We also have a number of grant programs that we facilitate, and literally we're doing webinars and connected into all the resources we can possibly do. We have a market finder product, which literally you can put your product in the system and it will tell you the top 10 markets that product, there's demand for that product internationally, and then everything you need to know about getting into that market, and then we will work with you and help you through that process. Oops. So what I was really here to talk about is the Queensland Exporter Academy. In March this year, the Honourable Ros Bates, Minister of Finance, Trade, Employment and Training, opened our first Queensland Exporter Conference and launched the Queensland Exporter Academy. And essentially what this is set up to do is to bring all of those resources and support into one central online hub, which provides access from that one point to not just our own services, but all of the other state government services that are available to support business, but also the federal government support services that are available as well. And off the back of that, our Minister has signed off on capability development, which is very exciting for us in terms of what this looks like. And essentially it is a suite of capability development training, mentoring, coaching programs that will be free for businesses to be able to access once they register on that website, the Queensland Exporter Academy website. So we will have a suite of 6-month intensive courses available and suppliers that can provide one-on-one mentoring coaching. There'll be workshop options on the key aspects of export that businesses need to understand. And this is really, it's not just about helping new and emerging exporters, but also helping exporters to diversify into new markets. And once they register, we will be working with those suppliers to pay for the training, mentoring and coaching available in that site. The other thing that we've been able to do as part of this program and the funding that the Minister signed off on was the equivalent for attracting investment for small business. So this is an area that's close to my heart. I've worked with small business for a really long time across Queensland, and it's very hard to support businesses as an agency that attracts foreign investment in, to help small businesses to attract investment, to be investment ready and to understand that area. So under this program in the Queensland Export Academy, we will have a suite of intensive 6-month programs, access to short workshops and seminars, and also free coaching and mentoring to support businesses to become investment ready. And it will be linked to helping them to scale to enter new markets. They don't have to be an existing exporter, but thinking about exporting to be able to access that free support. So the other thing that we are doing as part of that global response to the situation in the Middle East is we also have a insights hub that provides a lot of information and resources to businesses to help navigate this situation at the moment. So that is also a link through the Queensland Exporter Academy. And essentially we sort of started it with the tariff response, but then we've moved into this as actually global trade disruption generally across the board. So we have we're updating that website with assessments of what's going on, where you can access key information and support, and other agency support as well, any programs that are out there to support businesses through this time. Just wondering if that's my next slide. Okay, so one of the other things that is part of our Export Academy is that we are working with our commissioners in market to put together little insights videos on their market in terms of where the opportunities are in their market. So I just wanted to share one of those. Our commissioner in Taiwan has put this one together, but we will have a suite of around 14 of these on our Queensland Exporter Academy site, and we'll be building these out with more and more webinar content and other insight sessions from other professionals.
A lot of the Taiwanese buyers and the distributors and the retailers are screaming out for grass-fed beef now. Now's the time to really diversify markets for beef exporters. Taiwan imports 92% of their food from everywhere around the world, but the majority of beef comes from Queensland. So there's actually a really big opportunity now because of the reliance on imports and the food security. And so the consumers have a lot of spending power. And so they really care about branding, and they care about the safety and the quality of the food, where it comes from. A lot of Taiwanese are chasing Queensland beef. They're looking at macadamias, horticulture. They're also looking at investing in seafood here. We would give them market insights, sit down with them, and then we would connect them to local distributors, buyers, etc. Not only do we connect them, which is the end goal, but also invite them into market, and we show them Taiwan, and we show them the scale of the opportunity for their product or their service. That's the value that we bring.
So as part of our Queensland Exporter Academy, we also provide opportunities to build capacity pre-missions. So we have funding to be able to, so for instance, the China Import-Export conference that happens, we take around 100 businesses into that market and we give them training before they go. So anybody that is on that delegation gets to participate in that free market readiness, free trade show training to make sure that they can take advantage of all of the opportunities that are presented while they're there. So how do you start working with us? There's a number of ways. You can touch base with our local person based in region, or you can go online to our Queensland Exporter Academy and you can book an appointment, and that automatically will send that appointment notice to whoever the relevant person is in the region to connect, and then from there they'll work with you, onboard you onto Trade and Investment Queensland, and then from there we will work very, very closely with these businesses all the way through their journey. And I will say it's probably, for my team, of a client-facing team, it is the best part of the job working with small business across Queensland. There's no greater joy than seeing a business that you have worked with achieve a great outcome in a new market ongoing. So yeah, so that's my presentation today, so thank you.
Thanks so much, Denise. Yeah. And that really brings to an end our guest presenters, bar one. It's my pleasure for our final session today to welcome the Honourable Donna Kirkland MP, Member for Rockhampton, and Assistant Minister for Mental Health, Drug and Alcohol Treatment, Families and Seniors and Central Queensland. Yeah, Donna.
Thanks so much, Peter. Wow, there's nothing like being the last person to speak, right? Because everybody's tired, you're all, it's that nap o'clock time, ready to head home. But I just wanted to say, Denise, if people aren't, where did you go? Where did you go, Denise? Up the back there. How exciting to know that we have got a great support system there that we can tap into and plug our community into and our business owners into. I want to share that I've encouraged two business owners, one of them around the Rockhampton area, another from Mackay, to actually tap in to TIQ, which they did. One of them wasn't even thinking about being an international exporter, but now is. And another one was not really, they wanted to be an international exporter, but really didn't know what they needed to do. And so it's your job as economic development teams to be that person who connects those businesses to these great services that you've heard about today. And there's been a lot of wonderful speakers, and I'm sure that I couldn't even go close to surpassing some of the information and intel that you have received today. But I have been asked to just mention and to bring this to a close, and I decided I was going to use technology on my phone, which is never a good thing. My son would back me up on that. But I do firstly need to acknowledge, of course, our amazing Small Business Commissioner. Thank you so much, Nikki Kelly, for being here in Rockhampton. It means a lot to our community to know that you are accessible. And to all of you who have travelled to Rockhampton, I hope you've got a little bit of time to at least go from, I saw a lot of you last night out at one of our new restaurants and down at Cocoa Brew on the Riverside there and enjoying that. So thank you for coming to Rockhampton, and there's lots to see and do, and I'm certainly not taking away from the incredible communities that you represent, so many of them here today. Also, I note that we've had some great guests here. I should also acknowledge them, and that was the Mayor Tony Williams and our Livingston Shire Council Mayor Adam. Thank you for being here, Adam Bello, as well. I know they're not going to hear this, but it's important because you're people who go back to councils, and you might go back and say, you know what, that local member didn't even mention your name, and I don't want that to get back to me either. So I've mentioned them now, it's all good. But of course, Minister Minikin also said thank you very much for your warm welcome this morning, and you heard him speak about the number of businesses that we do have across the state of Queensland, touching on 500,000 small and family businesses. It's so exciting to see that number has grown significantly in the last couple of years, and we know that the Christopher government is very determined to get that message out there. And thank you again, Denise, for mentioning that in your presentation. Queensland is open for business, and we are inviting you as economic development teams and people who work as stakeholders in this space to be a part of that growth, to be a part of encouraging and standing alongside our businesses to give them the strength to feel that they can take those risks, that they can step out, that they can grow, that they can lean into you. You are quite often the first port of call when a new business comes to a region. They will most likely come to you, especially if they're wanting to put DA applications in and that sort of thing. So that first experience, it's a little bit like we've all got our homes and we like our gardens to be presented beautifully. It's first impressions, and you're the first impression that people get when they go to a region to set up business, to employ our children and our children's children, and to help make us sustainable communities moving forward. So I do thank you for what you do. I encourage you to continue to build relationships, and certainly as Jared, I was pleased to be able to be here to hear what you shared about Fraser Coast, and good on you for what you have done and implementing those business recovery hubs. How exciting. And we've all, most of us here in this room, as being regional, remote and rural Queenslanders, have experienced hardships in the weather space, and it's nice to have someone to represent the things that we can do to be better prepared as well, and that's a really great initiative. You're right. It's connectivity. It's making sure that we are communicating with our businesses, and you've learnt all of that over this time. So thank you very much for being that conduit. I'm a business owner. I've owned over 15 businesses over time, and I've also been a local councillor. So I've had the privilege of sitting on both sides of that conversation, and I can tell you that when we work together, we're going to achieve so much more, and that's why you've got different levels of government represented here today. I want to encourage you to reach out to your state members, respective state members as well, to make sure that your community are absolutely capitalising on the wonderful grant opportunities that are out there. Loads of money. In fact, today we went across and congratulated some of our local businesses who've been the recipients of some funding that's been out there for Secure Communities partnerships. That's a program that's offered grant funding for them to make their businesses a little bit safer. I don't know if any of you in the room have heard, but we have had a little bit of a crime crisis that we're trying to tackle, and we're moving forward on that, and that's just another part. There's so many parts to that, and that's just another way that we can help our communities to feel safer where they live and where they work. So putting in things like CCTV footage and bollards and that sort of thing. There is more funding coming, and a lot of the councils have been able to be recipients of funding collaboratively with those businesses as well. I encourage you to go to your community businesses and get them to reach out. We're jolly stubborn business owners. We like to try and think we can do it all on our own. But when you come and encourage us as local councillors, as local council representatives, economic development teams, it gives a little bit more impotence on, oh, maybe I could get 5,000 or 12,000. And you know what? That goes such a long way. The gentleman from Barra Jacks today, he's an institution in his business. He said to me, Steve said to me, talking about you earlier, he said, this means that I can finally have the CCTV footage that helps my insurance premium to go down because I've actually got that CCTV now. But it also means that should an incident happen, I'm going to have the evidence that they require to help prosecute or to, just give me peace of mind and to give my customers peace of mind. So it's so important. I encourage you to continue to reach out and make sure that you're accessing those grants that are available. I can see a lot of you with tired eyes, so I'm skipping right through to the end, but I just want to encourage you also, the Regional Business Gateways program, it's recently opened, and that's to local government with 250,000 to 600,000 for projects that actually respond to localised or specific needs to build capacity, to strengthen local industries and to develop our economy together. So make sure you reach out for that. But above all, please use your local, like I said, your local contacts. That's your everybody, your MPs and our Commissioner, of course. Peter, thank you for jumping in and taking over as MC today. So good. And I'm going to say that that's pretty well everything. Oh, I know, I did write a little note here. I would like to see a raise of hands who, after a couple of days of doing all of this, it all feels, no, don't put your hands up, but maybe think about, is it overwhelming? Is it a little overwhelming to think how we're going to actually move on with this? Because it can be, but I want to encourage you that it's just what I always say to my children, how do you eat an elephant? It's just one bite at a time. But to know that the goal and the vision that you have is absolutely achievable when you work together and chomp away at that elephant, you will get it. Build the relationships. You are the enablers, and our community businesses need you. So thank you very much. Let's bring it to a close. Come on up here. Thank you. Awesome. You are welcome.
Thank you, really appreciate that. So this is the final. I am just giving the vote of thanks, really. So would like to thank local member Donna for coming back and closing today. Really appreciate that. And to echo the thanks to all the dignitaries that did attend today and share their time and their insights with us. To all of the speakers, from Kat's keynote at the beginning, set a cracking pace, and I can't pick a favourite because they genuinely were all excellent presentations. So I've certainly got a lot of takeaways from that, and I hope that you do as well. So I really appreciate all of our speakers. I would like to recognise Stephen. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today, but he did put in a lot of hard yards preparing for this, and I know he was really looking forward to it. So I want to recognise the work that he did. And say that we miss him in his absence. However, we have the amazing Pete in his place. So thanks so much, Pete, who stood in, and I won't say it late notice, I'll say it no notice. Pete stood in, so really appreciate, thanks for that, and keeping us all on track, because some of us tend to go off on little tangents, including me. To our partner councils, Livingston and Rockhampton, thank you so much. So please, everybody give them huge props. not only were they fantastic to work with and just, really lent in and played such an important role, like a true partnership, but they were genuinely a delight to work with as well. So thanks, really appreciate it. To the QSBC team, thank you so much. So all of this, I'm sure you can appreciate, yesterday, last night and today has been a long time in the planning, and whilst we had excellent support from our partner councils, the team have really done an amazing job. It has been stressful, as these things always can be, because last-minute changes happen as a part of these events, but the team has done an amazing job. So to the team here today, led by Sharon, but also to TJ and to Nell and to Tam, thank you so much. You did an amazing job. And also the team back in Brisbane who also helped as well. So just want to recognise the people who are here who smashed it, and the people who are not here who also contributed. And then lastly, to all of you, thank you so much for taking the time out of what I know are very busy workloads and work days. And it's an interesting time of year. Small Business Month is May, it is what it is, but I know that people are in the middle of budgets and a whole range of different things, that it is really appreciated that you've taken the time to come and be with us today. So to councils, chambers, and our other peers and stakeholders, I really appreciate you being here. We will, of course, do a bit of a lessons learned around this and review for our planning for future. So we will do that, but if you've got any ideas that are kicking around right now, feel free to send them through before they go out of your mind. So would love to know what worked for you, if you think there's opportunities or things you'd like to see into the future, a bit more of a focus on some things, or you absolutely smashed it all, just do that again next year. Just let us know. So thanks so much for coming, and safe travels home.